welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from the world today. My name is Professor Kevin Cleary. I am a clinical associate professor here with UB School of Management. And we're going to spend a little bit of time today, and I just kind of want to cover some of the broad talking points, some of the areas of celebration of our Management Information Systems program here at the university. And, you know, a good first step in that is to kind of level set on, well, what exactly is the Management Information Systems program? You know, the term MIS can be kind of a broad term, right? And so really what that means to us is how we are helping future technology leaders earn credentials, both in terms of leadership experience or technical experience. And what our program kind of serves to do is help those students that are either classically trained from a technical perspective, you know, our software developers, our engineers, things like that, or folks that have that management experience, folks that have that leadership experience. And what we do is we help kind of bridge that gap or that gulf. And so folks that have a leadership or a managerial or a supervisory background, we give you some more of those technical skills. Folks that are coming in, you know, with a programming background, an engineering background, a cloud background, a networking background, those that are more technically inclined, well, we give you some more of those leadership classes and organizational behavior and management type classes. Again, to kind of give you a well-balanced curriculum that strikes a balance and allows our students to really walk away with and be empowered to be agents of change in the world, in the organization. There's a lot of technical disruption out there, and we'll talk in a little bit about the role that generative AI plays in all this. And, you know, really what our program has always been meant to do is empower future leaders so that they can use their technical skill sets, their technical toolbox, if you will, to bring innovation, to bring positive change to the organization. And we do that through a variety of different means, a variety of different classes, and through our program structure, which I'll talk about in a little bit, kind of the blow by blow or the lay of what our program structure actually looks like. Another thing I'd like to spend some time talking about is what are the differentiators of this program? Well, for starters, we're an aggressive program. We're aggressive in two means. One is assuming we're talking about a summer start option, and we'll talk about the different program start options in a little bit, you're done in less than a year. You're done with 31 credits of study. And so we move quickly. We work so that students can make the most of their time here and without accruing too much debt. That's another differentiator is, you know, we are part of the University of Buffalo. We are part of the State University of New York system, which is a very well-funded system, a very well state-funded system. And so we have a very, very competitive tuition and cost structure compared to some of our peers. And now another thing is we're aggressive in that we are constantly innovating our curriculum and our rubrics and our syllabi. Technology doesn't sit still for very long, which means a program like this can't sit still for very long. And in fact, if I even think of the pace of change since 2002 of this program, we have changed the structure. We have updated the core requirements. We have added at least 7 new classes. Many of those have to do with generative AI at this point. And so we are constantly updating and molding the program to fit the needs of what the industry and what professionals need today. I ran into an alum from a few years ago in the halls just the other day. He was helping a family member get acclimated to the university. And the alum, it was great to catch up with this alum. But he also was not a little miffed, but a little kind of taken aback by, geez, the program structure had changed so much. And this alum had kind of made the statement to me that, man, I wish I could take the program over again because there's just so much more to it than even there was 4 or 5 years ago. And, you know, I wear that as a badge of honor because we are constantly continuing to evolve this program because technology is ever evolving. And there has been no greater time of disruption and evolution in the tech landscape than in the past 3 or 4 years with the advent of generative AI. Additionally, so I'm kind of talking through these one-on-one. In terms of what our course structure looks like, in terms of the faculty that we have teaching our classes, You will have a mix of clinical faculty like me. So I'm somebody that spent nearly 20 years in the IT industry before I began teaching full time. You will have research, or what we sometimes call tenure track faculty. You will have adjunct faculty who are currently working full time in the field, in the space. They are VP level, they are senior level, they are technology advocates, they are experts in their space. And so what we do is we bring that mix of perspectives to the classroom. So you guys get all of that at the end of the day. We are a STEM certified program, which then enables OPT extensions. As a School of Management, we do have a dedicated career resource center, which means we have a dedicated advisor, a dedicated group of folks to kind of help you guys as you're then navigating what that career path, that career evolution looks like when you're here in the United States, or for domestic students, just what that next stage is going to look like for you guys. UB is a big university. We are a member, we have many national global accreditations. We are a member of the AAU, the AACSB. We are the flagship institution of the SUNY system. The SUNY system is the second biggest in the country. So we have a lot of strength, a lot of depth behind us. What that means is you're going to see in a little bit some of the other opportunities that then enables us to provide students. Another thing is, look, we are an honest program. I stand before you as an educator. I stand before you as a former industry practitioner. I'm not a salesperson at the end of the day. And so I will be honest with you about what this program is, what this program isn't. When you guys come here, you're going to set up appointments with me. I will be honest with you in terms of your performance, in terms of your career path, in terms of what classes I think you should take. Many of you are making huge investments to come here. Some of you are going to be uprooting families. You're going to be traveling around the world, which I can say as somebody that teaches in India, that's a big thing, right? Like that's not an easy thing to do. And so I at least owe all of you on that reciprocal honesty and respect that I would expect out of you guys. And so that's another big piece that I think is a cultural pillar really of the program. Our brand is one of quality. When people see that interlocking UB, when employers see MS Management Information Systems, that should mean something. It does mean something. And you guys all, assuming you apply and you accept, and I see you here in a few months or in a year, you guys will then all be part of that brand. And you are joining an elite set of alumni, and that is then going to connect you to our elite alumni network. We'll talk in a little bit about what those placement stats look like and what that then brings to the table. We are continually assessing every day, every morning when I walk through the hallways, when I hear a student comment, when I have focus groups, when I have office hour meetings. Assessment happens all the time. It's not a once a year thing. I am continually assessing and evolve the program. In fact, Kaylee, you're not going to want to hear this, but today when I was walking up the stairs, I had a great idea for you in terms of recording something. And so that happens all the time. We talked about the strength of our placement stats. Another thing I'm really proud of is the diversity of this program. This year, we welcomed probably one of our most diverse classes. I believe, and we'll talk about it in the next slide, we have I think between 10 and 20 countries represented this year, which is the most we've ever had. And so I'm really proud of the diversity that we're bringing with that program. We're a very experiential program in that many of our classes are not just taught on a dry erase board or a chalkboard. Our classes are taught in such a way that they're case-based, they're project-based. You are walking away having done things in those classes that you can actually celebrate on a resume. You can actually make part of your interview process. You can make part of your story at the end of the day. And finally, we do provide, I think, a healthy amount of elective options. And we'll talk in a little bit about the different kind of career paths or journeys that this program will kind of enable for you. The program at a glance. So like we said, we have a lot of countries represented, a pretty good mix of demographics. And I apologize, there's a bunch of sirens outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. This is one of the rare times a year in Buffalo where you can have your window open and be comfortable. And of course, today when I do that, nearly every siren in the city of Buffalo, I feel like, is outside my window right now. In terms of work experience, and I want to be careful with this because this is something that can be sometimes off-putting to students. And I want to caution you not to read too much into this. One of the reasons our program is quite competitive in terms of placements is, well, we bring students on board that already have that experience. that have that experience in either the on either the leadership side or the technical side. And so really what we then do at the end of the day is we're trying to grow the other side of that. But what it means is you're then already coming to the table with a strong story on your resume. But don't worry if that's not the case, because we are going to present some program options to you guys in a little bit to kind of help mitigate that a bit. But the honest story is, look, we have some students that don't have as much years of experience, especially students that are continuing on from undergrad, maybe with one of our 4+1 programs. Or we have students that have been in the industry, that have been in the field a while. And by the way, that contributes to the diversity of the program at the end of the day. And I think holistically contributes to the overall experience. Some of the cultural pillars that I was kind of alluding to earlier is, look, academics are important, right? And your performance in the classroom is important. We want to be matriculating and graduating students that have absorbed the knowledge we need them to absorb in the classroom. But that's not the only piece that employers, that recruiters are looking for. I meet and I network with employers and recruiters daily, weekly, all the time. And a lot of the things they keep repeating to me are, academic excellence is important, but they need professionals. They need grownups. They need folks with honesty, with integrity, with character. Those are the kinds of folks that they want to join their ranks. They can teach a lot of those technical skills after the fact. But when I think about what the ideal MIS candidate looks like, it's someone that can blend all of these areas. Now, this kind of reminds me of, so we're going to work through some of the question and answer in a little bit. But one of the questions I got was, what is one of the traits, the things we look at, that if a student wasn't with us, I would consider that a loss? Or in other words, geez, if a student walked away, what would I miss about that? And a lot of that is character. A lot of that is curiosity. A lot of that is good attitude. And so these are the things that I'm trying to suss out in your applications, your statements of purpose, what I'm seeing in your resume, what I'm seeing in your letters of reference. And that can even trickle through to, well, how do I gauge professionalism in a statement of purpose? Did you throw the whole thing into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT write it? Because guess what, I can tell. Or is it something that's genuine? Is it something that's coming straight from the heart? And so these are some of the things that we look for in terms of students that are applying, and these are really some of the characteristics that we're looking for with the student. Additionally, another kind of big disruptor in the space, and has been a disruptor everywhere, is, well, what does AI mean to us at the end of the day? What does generative AI mean to this program? And I sat down and thought about it, and the answer really was quite easy. When we think about what the MIS program is meant to do, and this has not changed, we're looking to promote the integration of technology with business innovation. We're looking to exploit new technological tools to create some kind of advantage at the end of the day. And so, the other thing is, and this has always been the case, we're trying to empower students to be agents of change. And so this really is no difference with generative AI. With generative AI is just another one of those technology stacks that we are looking to deploy at the end of the day. Now, where this presents new opportunities is particularly with students that classically were from a programming or a software engineering background. Some of those areas where we're not sure what that level of disruption might look like. This program is well structured to kind of help you through that at the end of the day. For those that are not software developers or engineers, or thinking about, like a computer science master's or something like that, we in our electives, we do explore, well, in the area of vibe coding, what does this then mean to software development, to product development, to software engineering? And within an MIS program, while we aren't necessarily as heavy on software engineering or development, we teach how generative AI can be exploited as one of those tools to assist with that at the end of the day. A big thing is generative AI can put out a lot of stuff, right? But what part of what our training is we help students to then be able to assess and question and refine those AI outputs and feed those back into models to make ethical decisions, to make privacy-based decisions, to make process-oriented decisions, around these different AI tools, because those are the things that's going to drive successful AI deployment and implementation within an organization. And so does AI scare me with, in terms of what it means for an MIS program at the end of the day? No, I think it only strengthens what our MIS program is already doing. I haven't had to change the model of our MIS program at all. Instead, what we've done is we've then just added in some of these generative AI classes and generative AI attributes to kind of help cover those AI components. But in terms of wanting students, graduating students that can act as those technological, those innovative agents of change, that doesn't differ from what we've already been doing. Now on to kind of the meat and potatoes of the brass tacks of the program and the structure. So we have two different options. One is our summer start, and actually let me change my screen sharing model real quick, because I know I have my little bouncing head here, and I just want to make sure that you guys are able to see this full slide. So I'm just going to reshare here without the little bouncing head. And so we have our classical summer start model. This is you come here in July, usually the first week of July after the 4th of July. You will have a summer semester. And I'm looking at this side of the screen right now, in the summer 26 start. You will have a full fall semester with 4 classes. You will then have the option of a capstone option of either over the winter doing a certification or the summer doing a certification, and then a full semester in the spring. Now, we do have our spring start option, and so we kind of brought this to bear because, look, there's some difficulty getting visas right now, scheduling visa appointments. Sometimes it takes a few rounds at getting approved with your visa. And so we wanted to give some flexible options to students. But really, when we started kind of charting the path out for this, we found that this actually provided a few other options to students as well in terms of flexibility. And so with our spring start option, and this is starting this coming spring, so several months from now, you will start in the spring semester with 4 elective or flex core classes. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. The summer you will have off, although there will be project opportunities, or will be on-campus job opportunities and things like that. Then in the fall of 26, well, then you kind of merge with the summer start students. So you all become one cohort as of fall 26. And then you have the same core, you have the same elective expectations. Same thing with your capstone option. You can then do that professional certification over the winter term and get that out of the way. Now, where things differ then is the second spring. You will be taking the same core class again as the summer starts, because you're all kind of functioning as one cohort at that point. But now this is where you have some flexibility in terms of you can this enables you to take more electives, additional electives, than someone that did the summer start offering. This also enables you to start that internship option if you choose to do that. It allows you to do that a little bit earlier. And so this is kind of the broad progression of summer start versus spring start. Looking at the two side by side, they're both the same number of credit hours needed to graduate. Same number of core courses, same number of electives, but the spring start option does give you the opportunity to take a few more electives if you should choose to do so. The certification, the capstone certification options are the same. The only thing that's different is if you do want to pursue that internship option, you get to do that a little sooner if you're going to do the spring start. And typically for the internship option, I get this question a lot. Should I be doing an internship, or what kind of an internship should I be doing? It's a conversation we should have, especially for students where you're coming in with a little bit of experience already. You might not need that internship experience. You might just want to start your full-time search right away and go into and start leveraging your OPT right away. And so that's typically a discussion that we have once you get here in terms of what option looks right for you at the end of the day. The biggest difference between the spring start and the summer start is, well, the spring start, we pace ourselves a little bit more. And so it does take a little bit more. You do have the opportunity to be here a bit more time for the program to run its course. So that's about 1.5 years at this point. Still shorter than a lot of other MIS programs that are in this space. As compared to the summer start option, and the reason that's variable for the summer start option here is depending on when you do that internship, if you're going to do that internship. But so this is kind of the side-by-side comparison. In terms of the potential career options or areas or opportunities or pivots that students will contemplate. These are kind of the areas, and these are kind of the broad buckets. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to fall into one of these areas. But when we talk about, where some of the biggest hiring trends are right now, where some of the biggest demand are right now, we're talking about business analysis or consulting, or another way to say this is solutions architecting. We're looking at, data analytics and forecasting, being able to tell a story from your data. Of course, we're thinking about generative AI and artificial intelligence and the impacts that has pretty much on every industry at this point. You can be well versed in generative AI and pretty much slot into any industry, any space. There's a little bit of generative AI for everybody at this point. Information security and sorry, just writing a note to myself here. Information security and resilience. So this is my professional background. And so in this space, we have quite a few classes in terms of privacy, ethics. We talk about governance, risk, and compliance controls. We talk about technology controls. We have classes in electives in forensics, in security analytics, in data mining and logging. We have classes in audit. We have classes in risk. And so we're cloud security. We are well represented in this space. And actually, for this option here, we do have an advanced certification area of study, which is kind of like, it's like a minor, but for a graduate level program. And I talk more through that in orientation, but that is an additional option for students. And so we're well represented in that space. Another real popular space for students is product management. And now product management is about more than just product, right? It can be about the portfolio of products. It can be about, well, what is your roadmap? What is your long-term strategy in terms of your product evolution, your product lifecycle, and the products you have in the different phases of that lifecycle? And so we're well represented in that respect too, in terms of some of the classes we bring to bear. And then finally, strategic enterprise architecture. So, this is, you want to build the scaffolding for that, the technology scaffolding upon which innovation is built. You want to create the buckets. You want to create the pipes for your information systems to flow so that you can meet your business objectives at the end of the day. And so that's kind of what we mean by strategic enterprise architecture, strategic technology architecture. And so how do we do this? How do we get here? Well, we have a really healthy offering of electives. And so the good news is, let me change my screen sharing again here. The good news is we have a lot of electives. The bad news is we have a lot of electives. And so, typically I will have the conversation with students about, well, how do we navigate that? And usually what I'll tell students is everybody's journey is different at the end of the day. Okay. And what I'm going to present to you guys, and I'll show you an example here. We have different breakdowns for depending on what career path you want to choose, depending on what journey might make sense for you. We have a set of classes, which is almost like the GPS turn by turn to get you to where you want to be. But, I very much so take this journey mentality, whereas everybody's turn by turn is going to be different. Everybody's needs are going to be different. And so with having classes that are electives rather than cores, that allows you to then kind of make that turn by turn journey that is unique to you and relevant to you, especially for students that are coming in with a broad swath of experience. Lots of times I'll get students that, and actually we had a question about, hey, I'm a software engineer. I want to take more programming classes. Well, no, you might not want to. Or sometimes I'll have students say, well, I have X number of years doing cloud architecture. I want to take cloud classes. No, you don't want to do that because you already have the professional experience with that. Remember that continuum that we had all the way in the beginning where we kind of said, look, you're going to come in with a level of experience. Let us build in the areas where you don't have the experience. If you're a highly technical individual, then you're going to want to take some of the leadership and management classes. If you're not as heavy, perhaps on the technical side, well, then you're going to want to take more of the technical electives. And so as we're looking at some of the elective options, and this is just a sampling, right? As we're looking at some of and there's a lot of information here, and I'm just doing this for illustrative purposes. But what we can do is, depending on the focus area or the journey, or what journey you want to take at the end of the day, we can, that then prescribes certain types of classes, certain types of electives that you can then take. But what's really common with students is kind of a blending or a merging of these. So we might have students say, look, I'm really interested in information security, and I'm interested in product development. Okay, so we can then, that's where we then work together to develop, what does that plan look like for you? Or I'm really interested in the intersection of generative AI and how it can be used in data analytics and how it can be used in forecasting models at the end of the day. Okay, well, then you can just kind of blend and merge what these two classes are. Frequently, the issue that students have is there's so many good options, and it's like you're a kid in the candy store and you're not sure which one to pick. And we can work through that at the end of the day, and we can talk through that through the different levels of advisement that we do. And like I said, at least for information security, resilience, and risk, we do have the advanced certification program here, which is recognized and approved by the federal government. Moving on, like we said, we have product portfolio management and road mapping classes, strategic enterprise architecture, and then we do have a growing list of classes, particularly for those that want to build that management side, that leadership side a bit more at the end of the day. Now, additionally, there is a capstone requirement. So for the capstone piece of this program, that is pretty much not any kind of, but a pre-approved list of professional certifications. And so we have a really big list. There's anywhere between, I think, 50 and 60 certifications that we have approved at this point. That catalog will become accessible to you once we get you onboarded for the program. But there's pretty much any certification that you might have interest in, we do have represented on that catalog. Anywhere from technical certifications to project management, PMO, product owner certifications, any level of Salesforce, ISC squared certifications, a lot of different kinds of Azure certifications, Tableau certifications, Salesforce, I mentioned Salesforce, Oracle certifications, a few different generative AI certifications. So we have a good representative list from a lot of the different focus areas in terms of a different kind of certification that might interest you at the end of the day. Now, a big part of the program is not necessarily what you're doing in the classroom. Most learning takes place outside of the classroom. And so one of the strategic strengths you guys heard me talk about was the experiential opportunities. And look, I hope you guys apply and, I'm able to review your app, and in a few months or, close to a year, I'm going to be seeing you guys in orientation. And one of the things I'm going to say in orientation is never waste a good opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities here at UB, again, because we're a big institution. We have some depth. We have a lot of resources. We have something called UB Collab, our startup and innovation collaboratory. What that essentially is they do a lot of business competitions. They do a lot of case competitions. They do a lot of hackathons that then gives you a lot of that. And we have mentors come in and we have judges come in. I'm actually working on one right now to be done next month, an AI hackathon, where students kind of get to throw together an AI solution, prototype it, present it to judges. And those are the kinds of things that you can really then start to celebrate on a resume. Those are the kinds of things that really make for a good story for when you're in that interview, when you're talking to a recruiter. That's going to make for a much better story than, the classical image of a college class with somebody writing on a chalkboard, right? And that's one of the differentiators of our program is we want you to walk away with some great stories, some great experiences that can stand on their own as a resume, because that's what's going to stand out to recruiters at the end of the day. And so we do several School of Management organized hackathons or case competitions. We have several at the university level. The Buffalo metro area at large is really kind of a growing incubation space for a lot of different startups and organizations. We have incubation organizations like 43 North that sponsor and promote a lot of different kinds of startups. And so from the entrepreneurial, from the startup space, a lot of big tech is migrating away from the classical Silicon Valley areas, and Buffalo is one of those areas at the end of the day. And it's a really exciting place from an entrepreneurial, from a startup perspective. We also have our projects clinic. This is run through the School of Management. And here again, this is meant to give you some experiential opportunity at the end of the day, beyond just what a credit-bearing class would do. And so there's all kinds of, and you essentially work as a management consultant in this project clinic. It's considered on-campus employment. So for those of you with visas, this can be done as on-campus employment. And this is just an old snapshot of the projects. The project clinic, we just had to add another faculty member actually to the projects clinic to help start PMing all these projects. And, especially for those of you considering the spring start, where then you might have that summer. Project Clinic runs year round, and so there will be summer opportunities with that as well. We also have our global programs opportunities. And so one of those opportunities is called Experience the 50, where depending on what class you register for, typically for MIS students that will do a trip to Silicon Valley, which Silicon Valley, right? We'll either do a trip out to the West Coast, somewhere in the Mountain View, San Francisco, classical Silicon Valley region, or we're considering some trips to Austin, Texas, which is a new kind of growing area. And so our global programs really, and it connects you with all kinds of different advisors. It connects you with all kinds of different alumni. And so this is another really interesting experience as well that can actually be leveraged towards your capstone credit. So this is another way to kind of achieve that capstone requirement. Additional experiential opportunities. So we hire program ambassadors, and they're going to work closely with folks like myself and Kaylee to represent the program. There's all kinds of different university assistantships, either research assistantships or teaching assistantships. And we'll talk more later on about how we can kind of look for those and search for those. There's all kinds of different poster competitions and expositions. You see one photographed, a picture down at the bottom left corner here. Usually we'll run some level of on-campus conference, professional conference. What you see here is just a snapshot flyer from our Glitter Conference, our Great Lakes Technology Retreat that we held last year. We do have a funding pool available for application for different kinds of professional conference travel to subsidize that travel a little bit if students are interested in that. We have a lot of different student clubs and organizations. School of Management has one of the more popular ones, our Product at UB, our pub club that draws a lot of students in. These are some pictures from our experiential IT exposition from last semester. These are actually the winning groups from last semester. And so one of the classes you will have available to you in your spring semester, and for spring start students, this would actually be second spring because it's a culminating experience, is something called experiential IT. And the experiential IT class essentially is a mini internship class where you get Professor Sam Marazzo or CJ Burris, bring in all kinds of different organizations that have projects that need to be done. These can be technical, these can be workflow. They fall within the MIS space. And you can see all the different sampling of projects we did here last year. And there again, this kind of plays to the experiential side of the equation where not only are you doing these things in the classroom, but you're doing these things live as well. And this is something that can then be celebrated with employers. And we're rounding the home stretch here, guys, so that way we'll have time for questions as well. Now, probably one of the most important things for you is what's placement? What does salary look like? I think our placement is actually quite strong, and I'm very proud of our placement. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there about hiring numbers. And by the way, this is for class of 24, right? Because the class of 25 just graduated, and we're still doing that data collection. I can tell you the informal numbers right now for data collection are looking strong. I can tell just based on my LinkedIn. Every day I'm getting LinkedIn updates about students taking a job here and a job there, and some have already had multiple offers. And so the reason I bring this up is not to be braggy. Maybe it's a little bit to be braggy, but but I also think it's that there's a lot of doom and gloom in the headlines, right? And that's the job of the news agencies is because doom and gloom sells, right? But I also encourage you guys to respect these numbers a little bit because a 92% placement rate is quite a healthy placement rate. And this is for class of 24, class of 25 numbers aren't even out yet, but they're getting positions. And this is true of the MIS field in general. They are landing positions that aren't only with big tech, okay? Information support, information systems, information technology, all these different focus areas and career areas, they're not just big tech positions. They're not just Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 positions. They are everywhere. Technology is diffused everywhere across all organizations. And so that really kind of expands the area in terms of where students can then hunt for and look for jobs at the end of the day. Just some of the titles that students are getting, and this is just based off of a database query from our ERP system that manages our CRM system that manages this. Some of the employers. This is again based on this is just a quick snapshot. I didn't even have room for all of them, and so this is an incomplete list, but a lot of employers, a lot of different kinds of titles, and strong placement stats at the end of the day.